I know in a previous video I said I wasn't interested in talking about Halo, but the past week has given me quite a bit to think about. In this video, and before I go on, I should say, pardon the commentary or whatever. I'm very tired. I can't make a effort to sound good, but I want to get this video out because there were a few videos I've been working on where I just basically let them fizzle out and die because of I couldn't follow through. So yeah. So, let me continue. In this video, we will take a quick blast of the past and take a look at the direction this franchise is now headed. I just want to tack on a quick editor's note here. Instead of putting all this effort to, remake the game that we've already have a remake on, why couldn't they have done something like this and make a TV show instead of whatever Paramount did? They could have animated it, and whether they wanted to go CGI Unreal route or, like actual animation, that's up to them. But I feel like, making a movie about Halo CE would have been a better idea. So let's address the elephant in the room. The Halo 1 remake. The writing was on the wall for the longest of time. And if you want to ask me my opinion on it, I think 343 is making the same mistake twice, which is a very common phenomenon at that studio. They'll launch broken games, right? They've had Halo MCC, Halo 5, Halo Infinite. That's already a trend. Changing the art style, that's already a trend, although they reverted that somewhat. What else? Ignoring fan feedback, they've also done that a lot. You can't even lie. So, Halo Studios 343, whatever you want to call them, the mistakes might be different, but they keep doing this shit where they make it over and over and over, and it's like, and I'll explain why I think the CE remake's not going to be that much different, and why you probably shouldn't be excited or interested in it. And the reason I believe it's going to be bad is there's a 13-minute trailer out there you can watch, and if you take it all in, you'll notice that there are unnecessary features that, some say you might be able to disable things like sprint, but what is the point of including it in the first place? You can't have your cake and eat it. Either the game is going to be designed with sprint in mind, or it's not. It's that simple. The way, they might change, like, level geometry and whatnot, and, even smaller things in the trailer, like I said, they put the radar in a weird spot. Again, you can customize it, but why even change it in the first place? They got rid of the cool ammo counters that the original trilogy had, like the physical depictions of your ammo. They completely got rid of that because wait. Okay, I lied actually. Let me go back to the trailer. I just caught myself in a lie. Let me go back. I think the AR, and we're going to talk about the assault rifle real quick, has physical ammo counters. Does the Magnum have it? Let me check real quick. Okay, it has it. I almost forgot. Okay, that's something going for them at least. Because Halo Infinite didn't have it. The game, I'll talk about the relationship of this to Halo Infinite in just a moment. So, yeah, they at least have, like physical, like tiny bits in the ammo counter. That's nice. But still, I'm not here to critique the HUD or the UI. I'm here to talk about, just, I think there are some good features introduced, like the fourth Warhog seat. That's kind of cool for like 4-player co-op. But there's just stuff. There's just things that they're unnecessarily reinventing. Like there's no D-scope in the game. They gave every weapon a scope, and it's just such an ugly design in my opinion. Like the classic Magnum, it was just like clean. Like you had like the circle, the black skull mask around it. It was just so nice, but now you just have whatever the hell these are, and they don't look that good. And of course, you have a 32 round assault rifle, which I hope that by doing that they might consider, maybe throwing in an SMG, because they said they're adding new weapons. But I think it's kind of pointless because the way Halo CE was designed, it was a very tight sandbox. You had the pistol utility weapon, right, and then you had the assault rifle bullet hose. So they're definitely adding the BR and needle rifle. So is the battle rifle going to be the utility weapon? Are they going to adjust the Magnum? I just see potential for a lot of redundancy. And like I said, the thing that made the first Halo so good was how tight and how streamlined it was, right? There was no fluff in Halo 1. That's what makes it stand out even to this day. And yeah, so I'm not so sure how much this fluff is going to affect the faithfulness of this remake. But let me go on. I should mention that this game is probably going to be full price, so keep that in mind as we talk about this. It might be $70 because games these days have been going for $70, or it just might be $80. In case you've been living under a rock, Nintendo is selling Switch 2 games for $80. That might make some developers feel rather brave. Who knows? Maybe GTA 5 will come out before this game, and it'll come with a $100 price tag. You never know really where the price tag's going these days in this industry. So, but speaking about the more commercial aspect of the game, one thing is, and I can go check real quick actually in the trailer, pardon me. Okay, so they haven't given the game an age rating yet, and that's what I'm kind of concerned about, like the ESRB rating, because if the game is not M for mature, like the original Halo 1, then I don't think we're going to see a good version of the Flood. And that would be unfortunate, I think. So, yeah, look out for that. If the game is not M for mature, don't expect much from the Flood. They might be like, I don't know. I don't even know why the Flood got M for mature in the first place. Game ratings never make sense, but just look out for that. And now, I want to talk about, within this elephant in the room I talked about, there's another, massive issue that I'm pretty sure the community has already pointed out, and it's the fact that the game is on Unreal Engine 5. Not only is it on UE5, but it's also an acid flip at the same time, so it feels like the effort 343 Halo Studios is putting into this game is absolutely minimal, because everyone knows UE5 these days, and I already spoke in a previous video why I hate the concept of Unreal Halo, even though they're using a hybrid engine setup. But maybe the game will feel kind of similar, but there's catastrophically more room for bugs, errors, shit like that when you're running a double engine setup, because it reminds me of the Game Quick Champions. They were doing the same thing. Saber Interactive, who also previously worked on CE Anniversary, they had a dual setup engine. They had was it Tech 5 or 6? I think it was 6. That was the Doom 2016 engine. I don't remember off the top of my head. But they were running a hybrid engine, and that game was known to have interesting, quirks, like with hit reg. I remember on my old machine that used to run so badly. The game was poorly optimized in that regard. So, yeah. Hybrid engine setups have their own drawbacks. So just because it's a hybrid engine doesn't mean it's going to be good. I don't know if anyone would have that notion, but yeah. And if you watch the trailer, you can see a handful, like at least a dozen of UE5 related bugs that are just so glaringly obvious. These bugs are both performance related and they're visual fidelity related. Like several times in the things you can watch, like materials like metals, they just freak out. Like if you really pay attention in some scenes, the metals, some of the shaders for more transparent things, they just freak out. And yeah, this is UE5 for you. There's a channel I'd recommend watching it. I'll throw it up on the screen. I don't exactly, maybe I have a tab here somewhere, but I'll throw them up, and you guys should definitely watch it, because this guy just explains everything that's wrong with UE5. And there's obviously performance issues. No one's unfamiliar with the concept of performance issues in Unreal 5. The games, they stutter, they don't give you a good frame rate in the first place. I bet by the time, I bet there's already people online, because they let people play this game at HCS. I bet people are already saying, oh, this game, it doesn't run too smoothly. I'm sure people will come out saying that, because the game probably doesn't, unless they've all been put under some crazy NDA, but I don't think the game's gonna run smooth. That's pretty obvious. Should be the most obvious criticism here for people to understand. But let's talk about the game being an asset flip at the same time, because you can notice there's a lot of Halo Infinite assets being used. The character models, some of the weapon models. Pretty sure that assault rifle was something they sold in the Halo Infinite shop or Battle Pass or whatever. What else? The enemies, of course, the characters, the enemy AI. Like the elites, the grunts. Obviously, they've been ripped from Halo Infinite. And in a way, it's a bit ironic, because Halo Infinite's art style is heavily based off of Reach's art style. And back in the day, right, CEA, the complaints about CEA after it being too like the lighting was fucked. Right, that's people's major complaint with CEA. The second complaint was, why is this game a reach asset flip? And now we've come basically full circle because the elites in Halo Infinite are the same exact ones in Reach, and the grunts. I think the grunts is even a worse story because there's some like of that ugly 343 era design in Halo Infinite. And the grunts, instead, back then the grunts and CE were they were either like straight backpack or like the ones that were like slightly curved, like, and that was that. And again, is the remake faithful? I don't know. Was it that hard to make new assets? I don't know, but yeah, to me the game just screams minimal effort because of it being in an engine that literally everybody knows, although it has so many problems, and the fact that the game's an asset flip. So yeah, and the thing that would have made this game a nothing burger, but could create some, reception issues in my opinion, is the fact the game's coming to PlayStation. And, Halo coming to PlayStation, that sounds awesome, but we have to think, we're introducing a game to a new audience, or an audience that's been away for a long time, right? And you give them something, you say, because Halo 1 changed, gaming forever. So people are hearing these claims, and when they're going to be given this, product that I don't think is going to live up to the original, what is people's perception of that going to be? I don't think it's going to be good. Because obviously with this remake, not only do you have to please the fans and make sure you're meeting that mark, but you have to really, this is your first impression on a new audience. You really got to stick that landing, in my opinion. But we'll have to see. All I'm saying is don't expect too much from this. I wouldn't, to be honest with you. I don't think it's, like, I wasn't happy when I first saw the announcement. I just knew that all the people getting hyped were going to get disappointed. It feels disrespectful. Take it as you will. Me personally, knowing the history of how this has gone already, I'm not gonna jump on board. Maybe if the game comes out on Game Pass, I might grab it just to try it out and, see it, but I'm not expecting too much from it. I definitely wouldn't put actual money into it, is what I'm saying. So yeah, enough talk about this Halo 1 remake. Let's talk about something else right now. Now let's talk about Halo 5's 10th anniversary. Unfortunately, I thought it would be a good idea to buy a month of Xbox Live Gold to try the game out in its since its 10th anniversary was coming up, and that was an extremely bad idea. I won't even lie. The game is maybe it's back in the day we literally had nothing better to do in Halo. I have no idea because MCC was broken and whatnot, but the game is a lot less fun than I remembered. It just, like everything from the game, it's just fundamentally unfun. And I noticed that the on the technological side of the game, the graphical side of the game, it did not age well. Like 1080p, they should have just stuck with 760 because 1080p, it was not worth making that push. Because back in the day, people were saying, "Oh, Halo 5 could have had better lighting if they went 720p." But even the look of it, because the game doesn't look sharp like 1080p games do, so it just looked extremely fuzzy and whatnot. And I'm not sure if the footage, because of YouTube compression, will make that obvious. But yeah, and yeah, one thing I noticed in Halo 5 is people that during Halo Infinite's early lifespan, they were complaining, saying, "Oh man, Halo 5 had so many weapons." But I've noticed that the weapons in Halo 5 could be split up into three groups. Precision weapons that were all dull and monotonous and didn't have anything interesting going for them. They basically all functioned the same. Like even the battle rifle. The battle rifle is like, oh, you don't have to aim for the head because the gun will kick up for you. But else, yeah, and the other, so I said three parts, right? So it was precision weapons. I'm sorry, I need to drink some water right now. Pardon me. So you have those precision weapons, and then you have the brain dead weapons like the bolt shot, the ones that have crazy tracking like the Needler. Even the Needler is always like that. But basically, there's a whole category of weapon in the game where it was like the Needler. You didn't have to aim, you have to saw all those automatic weapons and whatnot. So yeah, you would die to those pretty quickly and they'd melt you fast. And finally, you have power weapons, which were a mix, obviously, of being brain dead weapons and precision weapons that are also brain dead, like the Halo 5 snipe. Why have we reached a point in Halo, like, you know, from like Halo 4 to like, you know, 2 Anniversary and 5? Why in that era was the sniper rifle easier to use than the utility weapon of that game? I will never understand. In Halo 5, I might have a clip of me doing it. You can aim at someone's chest and it will register as a headshot. I have no idea why. I know why. It's a bullet magnetism, but why was it ever that way is beyond me. So yeah. Speaking about Halo 5's weapons, we have the Rex system, and the Rex were insanely grindy. I have about 300 hours on the game, and I don't have a majority of the content. I only have a very small fraction of unlockables, and you know, it was really obvious that they wanted to sell loot boxes. I'm pretty sure first week of Halo 5 came out, they made like $1 million. I'm not too sure what the number was, but they made an insane amount of number on selling those rec packs. Let me check. Halo 5 Rex first week profits. You want? Oh my god, bro! That actually made my jaw drop. It was about $500 million they made off of rec packs in the first week of Halo 5. So, yeah. And it's obvious why. It's obvious why they made the money. The system was so grindy. You could not unlock anything. Like I said, I had $300. I still don't have the H2BR. I still don't have good armor pieces in that game. It's absurd. I only have a few DMRs in that Warzone mode. And speaking about the Warzone mode, it was such a poorly executed game mode. First of all, almost no one was playing it. I had to queue for hours just to get a match. And when I found games, they just didn't feel fun. Because, you know, the point is you can get all these powerful weapons. And I think the PvE side of it's interesting. So, you know, you would level up your character, you would get these cool weapons, you know, you would use them, you die, no problem, you can just get another one. But the way it's implemented with how slow it takes you to go from like level to level so you can reach those higher levels, and then obviously there's a cooldown factor too. So you can get a good weapon, you'll die to some bullshit, and if you want to get another good weapon, you would have to wait so long. So for what the mode was, which was basically playing with the sandbox and getting all this overpowered shit, it was implemented pretty poorly. Like the cooldowns, it's kind of counterintuitive to me. Like, you want people to use different weapons. You don't want them to use loadout weapons. So why do you make it harder for them to use anything that isn't a loadout weapon? I don't know. It doesn't really make sense. And to be fair, you know, in that time, you would sell all your wrecks because we were only playing Arena, because why would you bother with Warzone? The only fun I remember having in Warzone was the Invasion clone, the Warzone Assault. And that's because you were taking like 12v12 gunfights. That was fun. And that's what I like about the mode. It was asymmetrical. And, you know, because Warzone itself, like in its normal form, was just basically, dude, the map was huge. And what would happen was either your team would cap 3 points, enemy caps 3 points, and they would literally just spawn farm you. That's how it happens. You would be sitting in your home base and you would be getting spawn farmed. And it's just not compelling gameplay for either side, I think. You'd just be sitting there doing nothing. So, yeah. And getting back into Halo 5 was a unique thing because I picked up the controller because I've you know, I mainly play on mouse and keyboard games these days, but you know, I've still played controller here and there for FPS games, so I didn't think it would be that bad. But something about Halo 5 just felt so bad. I think it was a combination of a low FOV and the controls. It just felt awkward because there's this video I watched a while ago on why the way 343 handled aim assist after Halo 4 just feels wrong in Halo, and just just the complete opposite of what Halo is about. And onwards, I'll put the card up on screen or whatever, but the point being, something about Halo 5, and obviously there was heavy aim in Halo 5. Heavy aim didn't help at all. But, and if you don't know what heavy aim is, heavy aim basically means your sensitivity is actually dictated by the server. You know, you didn't have a consistent client-side sensitivity. You would play one match, your sensitivity would feel like this much, like you would hold down your stick for X amount of time and do a 360. But then you go on a different server and all of a sudden the pressure on your stick needed changed, and it's not fun. It still exists in Halo Infinite, fun fact, to a lesser degree, I think, but yeah. But I think the thing that made Halo 5 ultimately the hardest for me to play on controller was just the amount of controls you had to hit. You had to sprint, you had to thrust, you had to you have to, when you jump up in the air, you have to, know what buttons to hold so you can like, float in the air and get the angle, which is annoying. There's just so many controls in the game, and it's kind of overwhelming. Like, unless you have paddles, it just becomes annoying to play, kind of. And it just goes against what Halo fundamentally was about. Halo was about making shooters feel good to play on controller. Not just play, on controller, but play well and to feel good. And I think Classic Halo is the only game to have truly achieved that. Every other game, you're CODs, you're this, you're that. It just doesn't feel like Halo is genuinely the only game you can pick up a controller. And I don't know, it just feels good. Like, even though I'm not good on the controller myself, like Classic Halo, original trilogy, it just it just makes sense. It just clicks. Truly, it's the only shooter where a controller just clicks like that. And you feel free to debate me on that, but after after the original Halo trilogy, you could say Halo Reach 2. I don't really know. I don't really care. I haven't really bothered to think about Reach that much. But after that point, like, we move on to Halo 5. It just, just Halo lost that magic on feeling good on controller, I will say. And do I have anything else to say about Halo 5? I don't know. Let the clips roll. Maybe when I'm editing the video, I'll insert editor's note. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now about Halo 5. And I don't think I'm ever gonna touch the game again. And now, for an interesting finding, I realized while I was conceptualizing this video, I was like, okay, so I have these two things to talk about this week in Halo, like it's a fucking Mint Blitz video or whatever. But, what was a third thing I want to talk about? I was like, I can't just make a video of two things. I need a third. So I thought about it for a moment. I was like, oh yeah, let me check Steam charts for MCC, and I went on SteamDB, and I realized that LMCC is still strong as ever these days. The game has a very healthy player base. MCC daily, you're gonna see player peaks, 24-hour peaks around 7,000, 8,000. The game is extremely healthy. It might even go higher than that on weekends. I'm not sure. And it's interesting because it's a paid game, right? The game still has flaws. MCC is not a perfect polished product, but people still flock to it and they play it on PC, which makes me think: is it because I'm sorry. Let me ask that question again. Is it because maybe there's mods on PC and people love to play mods? Maybe. Is it because custom game browser, custom game browser, and because you have a bit more options. You have different styles of Halo game in it. Who knows? But to me, I just think that people like classic Halo. You can find these days, you can find a match of Halo 3 instantly, you can find a match of Halo 2 instantly, you can find a match in Halo CE and Reach instantly. I think it just goes to show where people's interest actually is. And let's compare this to Halo Infinite real quick, which Halo Infinite has about 3 to 4,000 concurrent players on Steam every day. So I think it's in a slightly better state than it was of like a few years ago, to be honest. But it's interesting because I think MCC's player count is also slightly lower, so I think the interest for playing Halo, at least on Steam, has increased quite a bit recently. But I think 343, they've introduced these things such as invasion and whatnot, content to Infinite. So it makes sense for why more people would go back to Halo Infinite. But why are people playing MCC? It hasn't had an update in the longest time. There was the dig site. It wasn't even an update. A dig site. They just put something on the workshop. That's the last time we had any true meaningful content for the MCC. And even then, after that, dig site fell apart because of leaks and whatnot going on the inside. So yeah, I don't know why. All I'm gonna say is 343. The data, whatever. They could take a look at what people actually want and give them what they want. And it makes me think, why are we making a whole new game to put on PlayStation to show the world, oh, this is Halo or whatever, when we already have a game that, has people's interests very clearly? Like, why don't we just port MCC to PlayStation? Why don't we fix the game up first? Make it the best product we can make it. And there are features that I can think of that can improve the game. Like, a modded custom games browser. But before we even have a modded games custom browser, let's overhaul the file share system, not so that we reach Bungie standards, but even go above that. Get rid of these, caps like, oh man, you can only save like 150 maps or whatever. No, let us save like 1,000 maps to be safe. Come on, Microsoft can afford whatever storage or infra. It's not even that crazy of a thing because the maps will always exist on the cloud. People are just bookmarking them. All right, let people upload mods to to their file share, and it's actually really simple technically because the way Halo works, the game mods they aren't like external DLLs like other games. Like you have like Half-Life, Quake, whatever. Like they store their mods. Well, okay, the original Quake was a bit different with their scripting internal scripting tools. But we're talking like Quake 3, right? A mod would be a DLL, and you have to use that to patch your game basically. Um, but in Halo, the mods are just map files. Sure, you can't change the internal core game logic, but you don't have to. I mean, people have already done amazing things just by modifying the map files. So all you'd have to do is just upload the map files to the file share system, and all of a sudden, everyone can use mods, not just Steam users. And I think that's a good idea, genuinely. It would, I mean, you could obviously still have the Steam Workshop for other things such as control schemes and backgrounds or whatever. But I think the over reliance on the Steam Marketplace, if we keep pretending that's okay, then it's never gonna really work that well. So before we have a modded custom games browser, overhauling the file share system to include mods would be nice. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's too difficult from a technical level. I'm not sure how sensitive their whole backend is, but I think it's doable. And once we made MCC this amazing product, once we've creased out those bugs that have been persisting for years, I think we could truly have something amazing. Put it on PlayStation, people are going to say, wow, these games are really good, even in a modern context, because, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with classic Halo, I believe. And that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. I think that, the Unreal remake of Halo 1 is... I don't think it's going to be the best thing in the world. I don't think Halo 5 is the best game in the world, like some people are going to claim. And I think MCC shows where people's interest clearly lies, in my opinion. And, I just wish 343, would have some humility instead of arrogance, and they could just read the room and think, okay, what would work the best? But I don't know. That's just what I'm saying. From a Halo fan turned to a complete cynic, that's just my opinion. I'd like to know what you think about it. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Not the most coherent video ever, but it's almost 2 a.m. I want to get this done as quickly as possible. I'd rather upload something than to, do like 50% of the work and then throw out the rest. I'm just tired at this point of, not uploading, putting in work that ends up in the bin afterwards. So we're going to go through with this. I don't care. I've seen, videos, I'm not trying to attack anyone, but I've seen videos of lesser quality do well, and that should be a lesson to me that I shouldn't be striving for perfection in my own videos. So, yeah. Until next time, see ya.